Andy.
Hey guys.
How you doing, mate?
How you doing? So I'm in Arizona, so I'm about 7 hours behind you guys. So I'm in
Okay.
the middle of my work day. I had the TV going, no sound, just watched the game, which kind of gives you a different perspective. It's kind of what we see all the time, right? We beat the great teams and we lose to the shitty teams. It's
Yeah.
just the beat. I mean, how many years has it been that way? I mean, I've been watching Tottenham since I was eating, banana sandwiches with my dad in New Zealand, which is where I originally come from, at 12, at, 2 in the morning, watching live games and seeing this kind of thing happen. And, while we're all on Levy, and I don't like the guy, but the club has improved as a business, as an entity, as a size, as a financial power since he's been in charge. But the results really do not reflect in any way. In fact, you could argue have been worse since he's been in charge. And kind of what I wanted to say was him, Conte being furious is actually probably a very good thing. Kind of like Levy needs to hear this. Levy's tactic, as Stal said, has always been as soon as things start getting tough, we'll get rid of the manager and we don't really invest in the team. We don't really do anything to actually make a change for the better. We just get rid of the manager because it's the cheapest change, right?
Hmm.
Um, what Conte's doing is getting out ahead of that, and I think the team needs to hear it because they obviously love him, and make them dig a bit deeper. And there's literally when you're selling and negotiating, and I run a little company over in Arizona, and I've done this myself, and it's actually a sales tactic. There's a thing called a takeaway, right? And it's where I'm trying to sell you to on something, and I go, you know what, guys, you don't want this. I'm out of here. And I start walking. And if you kind of do want it and you're just negotiating with me and you're playing silly games with me, you might go, hey, no, 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 no. I'm actually interested. Let's get back into this. And that usually comes when you're feeling a little bit like, okay, I need someone to get a message that I'm serious about making change and making something happen. And I feel really strongly. Conte's smart. He's had huge success. If he's a good coach, he's probably a good man manager. He probably understands buttons to push. He's probably had multiple conversations with Levy. The positive to give Sim some positivity because he's positive. Well, not that you're not positive, Ben, but Sim has been kind of positive today with this debacle. I like to think that Conte is pushing some buttons and trying to maneuver and manipulate Levy, because think of it this way: if you're Levy and you fired Mourinho, you fired Pochettino, and now you fire Conte, there's nowhere to go from that, right? That's a scary place, even for an idiot like that, right? What does he do next? Who does he hire next? Who wants to come to Tottenham if that happens? I actually think Conte, um, him saying, "Hey, if him saying, I don't know if I'm good enough to do this." Think about it this way. I think it's more along the lines of the best coach in the world is not good enough to change this ship. That maybe Levy and Paratici need to step up their game to help him do it. And I think there's a
Hmm.
lot of shots over the bow happening right now to set up summer. Because if we think about it in all honesty, and we think about the situation, this is not Conte's team. This isn't his team. His team won't happen until the summer. Conte wants summer to be big, and it needs to be big for him to have a shot at getting some things happening before his contract runs out. Summer needs to be big. So right now, I kind of feel like, sure, there's an Italian there with a lot of fire, but I actually think there's maybe some thought behind the madness and the aggression and the upset, um, to actually make some things happen. And if there's not, I don't care, because if I was Levy, I'd be thinking, holy shit, if I don't turn this ship around, this is going to be a nightmare. We're already seeing that the stadium's not sold out every week, right? If that keeps happening, how many more people won't turn up and just, I'm not going to turn up and watch that dross. I'll just watch it on TV. I mean, there's 40 odd thousand season ticket holders that will probably turn up, but those 6,000 seats that aren't being sold, that's real money. And what does Levy care about, right? And, you know, if you turn it around and actually think about it positively, 69 points which would be us winning 10 more games out of the last 14, which would be 4 losses, which would mean we could afford to lose against Arsenal, horrible. We could afford to lose against Man United, and we can afford to lose against Liverpool and an extra team, which could happen. We would get to 69 points. 69 points over the last 3 years has got you into the Champions League or into Europe or more, right? So, we can all run around with our heads, cut off, and all talk about all the worst. I don't know. I've seen that kind of behavior before with really good managers that are just pissed off and know that there needs to be some pain to make change. And I have a sense that this was a good opportunity for him to do it. And who knows, maybe he's been like, hey, the next big loss that we have against a small team, I want to lose my shit on purpose. So Levy gets the message. So summer is great. And, we can all talk about Tottenham being this or that and blah, blah, blah. We do have arguably the best coach in the world. He does know his stuff. He knows how to get things to happen. I'm going to look at it positively and think, okay, maybe he's trying to not only manage his team, but manage his management. And if I was management, I would be listening to that and I'd be going, holy crap, we need to make some things happen. And the reality is, there's a good chance that he's going to be, if he loses 5 games, he's still got a good chance of being in the top 5, which will get him into the Europa League at least. So, I don't see that it's the world-ending thing. I know Stal was talking about in the chat, was saying if we don't get in the top 4, we're not going to be able to sign great players. I'm less worried about signing great players because I don't think Conte has a history of needing to have a Manchester City type squad. He's has the ability to turn average players into great players. What I want him to have his team next year, right? And I think that's what he's kind of setting himself up for. So there you go. I have a whole bunch of points that I wrote down that I wanted to go over with you guys, but that's basically my point. I had to call you. Watching them lose to Burnley, I was like, you know what? I listened to these guys. I've listened to them for a number of years now. Stuff it. I'm going to call. And that's my thought.
Oh, that's we definitely needed to hear that with some positivity, but I'm just reading even more stuff about Antonio Conte, and it's all very worrying. There's the Talk Sport journalist saying the way Conte just spoke to me in an exclusive interview. He said Conte was definitely suggesting he might walk away. That's what Sam Ataves is saying. I have to hear what he actually had to say, and it's worrying if that really is the case. Apparently, Tottenham are set for a meeting with Conte tomorrow morning. Like, what? I mean, what could possibly come out? I mean,
sure, we might lose him. Obviously, anything is possible. But who has the strength when he's walking into that meeting with Levy? And Levy's not an idiot. We think some things we think he's an idiot, but I do think that he's going to sit there and Conte will walk into that conversation with some power behind him, right? I mean, he's not walking in there as a guy about to lose his job. He's going to walk in there, and because he's done this takeaway tactic that I mentioned, Levy's going to be there going, okay, what do we need to do to keep you here? What do we need to do to make sure that everything's okay? What's gonna, what are we gonna do to make sure that this doesn't fall apart? And that's because Levy knows that if it does, the shit, he's gonna have a ton of shit fall on his head, and the Levy out becomes very, very real. I mean, I don't know how it becomes untenable to continue running the club if everybody hates him and everybody understand that he's the problem, right? It's not.
Yeah. It's hard to, you're absolutely right.
Firing coaches and not changing the team and blame it on the coaches. At some point, it's him. And I think we've started to see him realizing that it's his problem. I think we have. And I think Conte walking in after having this outburst is going to put him in a little bit of a positive negotiating space than he might have if he was like, you know what, we're trying really hard and we just lost and it was unlucky. These are the best guys, and it was that's football, and sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. If he had that kind of reaction, I don't think it would be as a powerful conversation as he would be having with this conversation. I would be shit scared if I was Paratici and Levy, and I'd be going in there going, Antonio, what do we need to do to make you happy?
All right, Andy.
That's my
Shame January just finished, but yeah.
That was a really great call. Really great
No,
call.
that was good, Andy. Really good stuff. Thanks for calling in. I hope you call in more.
Okay.
We need someone more of that
I will.
commentary. Good stuff.
Speak to you soon, Andy.
Take care. Thank you, guys. Bye.